You're listening to the Way of TBL's official podcast, Truth Talks with Sam and Alex.
Join us as we explore all things truth, beauty, and love.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to today's conversation. And in today's episode, we will dive into the importance of understanding and harnessing our life force energy.
Yeah, because it is so important to understand how our life force energy works, because it is the driving force ultimately behind everything that we do. And there are many factors that affect our life force energy, and many of those we are mostly not aware of.
Yeah, and understanding life force energy as a concept has the potential to be revolutionary. In the case of Nikola Tesla, who is the primary subject of our article based on today's topic, he learned how to harness his life force energy and ultimately make manifest the world we live in today. The modern era was birthed through Nikola and his work. Everything that we do today, this podcast, our technology, everything that we use on a daily basis is thanks to his incredible imagination. And that was his gift to the world. And we have him to thank for that. That is the power of harnessing our life force energy at its highest. That's what we really aspire to.
Yeah, absolutely. And our life force energy is one, but there are different forms of this energy. And
That takes shape, yeah.
yeah, I'm just looking for his quote. We, right, the quote by Nikola Tesla that we also have on our article, which is this is probably one of his most popular quotes, is it not, my love? You
I know
want to
which one you're
find the
referring to.
secrets.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration.
yeah.
And that's such a
That's the makeup
great,
of the universe, of all reality,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
when it comes to the human experience, is understanding that everything is energy. And the more we integrate that wisdom practically in our lives, the more we'll be able to tune into our creative capacity and our ability to express that in our own unique way. And it's it's so important to, once we come to an understanding of how fundamental our life force energy is for our overall well-being, our overall ability to be inspired, we have to learn how to protect it in today's day and age. Today, most are simply ignorant of this fact, and so they don't really appreciate that this is what's happening in their lives. This is why things don't go well, or things don't turn out the way that they would like to, or
Yeah,
they don't live the way that they truly desire to. It's because of this lack of understanding and therefore a lack of appreciation of their life force energy. So they make choices and decisions in their life that negatively impact it. And that indirectly can have an effect on us and weaken our life force energy. And so we have to learn how to protect that.
absolutely. It's all the different ways in which we allow that energy to just be drained from us without even realizing
Mm,
it.
yeah,
And factors such as people pleasing. I know that was a big one for me. Being a people pleaser and always putting others' desires and happiness before my own. And being creatures of connection, right? Human beings long for that sense of belonging. And growing up, a lot of times we are taught to put others before ourselves, unless you are in an airplane and they tell you you must put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you can help another. Because if you are not all right, then how can you help anybody else, right? That's probably the only example that I can recall where they tell you to put you first, but we should
It's
always
true.
put
It's such a
ourselves
fundamental
first. Yeah.
principle in so many facets of our life.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so every time we are going against what it is that we truly want, we are allowing for that energy to just be depleted, basically.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And when you open up to these kinds of situations, when you leave yourself vulnerable to those who unintentionally even have a negative impact on your life
Yeah.
force energy, it is a disservice to yourself and everyone around you. You're distracted,
Yeah.
you're not focused, you are irritable, you're aggravated, and you
Mhm.
can't really live in the way that you want to when these things are in the way. And yeah, making decisions and making choices that put your life force energy first is so important because you cannot give what you do not have. If you are
That's
not
right.
at peace first, if you are not grounded first, if you are not inspired first, you cannot share that with other people.
Well,
That's why
just as
it's
they
so
say, you
important as
cannot,
well.
yeah, you can't give from an empty cup. Your cup must be full first, and you give from that surplus of that cup. So you are always having to fill yourself up first. And when you
Exactly. It's from that
overflow,
overflow that you're giving
yeah,
without having to
hmm,
give any of what's inside the cup, right?
no, that's
Because you're
right.
abundant.
Uh-huh. Absolutely. And that also goes aligned with, or along with, I should say, the being in flow, right? I think we hear this here and there in a lot of spiritual communities. I guess they talk about being in flow and being in flow with the universe. And what does that really mean? Ultimately, it's being in flow with what is for you. And that comes through cultivating your life force energy and just
Being
what's
in
the word?
integrity with yourself,
Yeah,
living in
exactly.
integrity with yourself, being aligned with the choices
Hmm.
you make, living in alignment with your values and your principles as an individual. That when you put that first, everything
Hmm.
just flows
It
naturally,
flows.
effortlessly, even.
Hmm.
You make it look easy because of that
Yeah,
in everything that you do when you put
you
that
would.
first. You're putting
Yeah,
yourself first in a way that is not egocentric, but you're putting yourself first in a way that allows for your life force to constantly be nourished and replenished. And so you put your best foot forward in life in all that you do. And that's felt by everyone that interacts with you. You must first be in integrity with yourself. You must live in a way that's
yeah.
aligned with
And that's
what's
what I was
true
going to
for
say
you.
as well. Yeah, you then have also a better connection to yourself, and you have a better connection to your own intuition in knowing what it is that your intuition is guiding you towards or away from. You have a better understanding of what it is that you truly want because you are just so in tune with yourself and your life force energy.
Yeah, you're clear.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
it's only when you are clear on what your values and your principles are, what you are willing and unwilling to put up with and remain in your awareness, that you can make decisions more easily. I just
Yeah.
think about how organized everything is now with our use
Mm-hmm.
of this organizational system that is called Monday. Monday
Yeah.
is an absolutely incredible organization app. And yeah, just having all of these different aspects of our life compiled and organized in such a seamless way allows for us to be more mentally freed up to think of
Mm-hmm.
other things that we want to work on. It allows for us to plan more effectively, and we're not missing out on being creative in other ways
Yeah,
because we're
absolutely.
constantly trying to catch up with ourselves in our head.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing applies when it comes to the choices we make in our personal lives. When we know
Absolutely.
what our values are, when we're clear on what our principles are, it's a lot easier to make choices that put our life force first.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you protect it. It's not about avoiding certain situations or being anxious about
Mm-hmm.
encountering or experiencing certain circumstances. It's about knowing
That's right.
what comes first for you. And so you're
Yeah.
able to approach and be completely present no matter where you are, no matter what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about being able to hold your own and being steadfast in what it is that you truly want, no matter what the situation could be, because in avoiding it, you're then there's also this what's the word? There's a lack of conviction, I guess, when you are avoiding certain
And
things
that's
because
happening subconsciously as well.
yeah, absolutely. Whereas it shouldn't matter where you are, who you're with, what you're doing. You should still be you at all times
Yeah,
and stand for what you stand for. It doesn't matter if people around you don't agree with you. That's for them, right?
exactly.
But you being able to be convicted in your own truth and to be able to move forward in the direction that you want gives so much power to you. It reinforces then your ability to do that and to continue protecting your life force energy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And this also is something so important to keep in mind as well. Our sexual expression is absolutely fundamental to keeping our life force energy at its peak health. The way we
Absolutely.
express ourselves sexually is so important, isn't it, Samantha?
Absolutely, because ultimately what is life force energy, right? But creation itself. It is creation, and when we are intimate with our partner, when we are not creating a physical being, what is happening with that energy? What is it that we are creating? Right? It's many things can be birthed from that life force energy, and it's not just restricted to human beings.
Right. Our biological
Right? And it yeah.
creations, right?
Yeah.
There's
Hmm.
biological and metaphysical forms of creation. Like in the example of Nikola Tesla, he
Hmm.
didn't have children, to my knowledge, anyway.
Yeah.
And yet, his baby, you could say, is the modern era. He
Absolutely.
birthed the modern era through his understanding of sexual transmutation, which is understanding how to use your life force energy in a way to be creative and be inspired to create in other ways. This is how we make love to life. And that's really what we want to
Absolutely.
do first and foremost in
Yeah.
everything that we do. We want to make love to life. We
Yeah.
penetrate life with our intention, and what is birthed is an expression or manifestation of that life force energy when used in this way.
It's just it's so beautiful to experience it and to really be aware of it, because we really live in a time where casual sex is really nothing anymore, and people are really missing out on what sex is actually meant to be
Mm.
about. It's not meant to just
Ooh,
be about
get it,
the
Samantha?
pleasures of the flesh,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's not just meant to be to satisfy these surface level urges that we have that are always rooted in something deeper, but people fail to they fail to seek that deeper meaning because they're just so worried or with wanting to satisfy the ego.
Yeah. We approach
And the
sexuality in a
ego,
very masturbatory
hmm,
fashion. You know,
yeah,
it when it comes to intimacy, most people are simply satisfied with using another person's body as a tool
hmm,
for masturbation and self
yeah,
pleasure.
that's exactly what
There's no real love being made in these encounters. It's just
no,
emotional attachment and shared trauma and
it is. And
release.
if anything, it deepens the trauma even more
Right, it
when
does, and causes
there's
even
not.
more unnecessary drama and
It
pain
does.
and suffering because of
Hmm.
this. Which isn't
Yeah,
to say that we should also condemn or judge
of
ourselves
course not.
for going about doing things in this way if we are, that actually exacerbates the problem.
Hmm.
It's not about judging ourselves if we do, which a lot of people judge themselves. We
Hmm.
live in a very, very critical and judgmental society, and a lot of religious communities are like this as well. You should do this, you should not do this, or be this way.
Yeah.
That way of thinking and behaving causes people to do what they quote unquote should or should not do.
Yeah,
And so
exactly.
it's like this circle, this vicious
Hmm.
cycle rather, that repeats itself and spirals deeper and deeper and deeper.
Absolutely.
And you only
Whereas,
step out of that cycle when you take a step back to observe and reflect
and
objectively.
accept,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you accept that this is the way I've been, and that's okay to be operating whatever way you've been operating because that's just what you knew. It's the moment you become aware that you want to do things differently, or you want to seek the deeper wisdom in life and be more um, to be more fulfilled in life. And it all begins with accepting the present as it is.
Yeah.
You can never truly be in flow if you cannot accept the present as it is and
You've got to
your
accept yourself.
reality
It's self
as it
acceptance.
is. Yeah.
You've got to accept yourself and where you find yourself. You know, if you feel like you've been doing things in a way that just isn't working for you,
Mm.
the last thing that you should do is judge yourself. Because
Yeah.
the truth is, it is our fault, and yet it isn't for so many reasons.
Hmm.
We have
Yeah.
inherited a lot of patterns of thinking, behaving, beliefs, and belief systems.
Yeah.
We've inherited an entire paradigm and way of life that is not really ours. We didn't really choose for ourselves. We don't do that until we become self aware,
Hmm.
until we accept ourselves completely, and we make the conscious choice to move forward in the way we want to.
And that's how we build in integrity and trust with ourselves.
That's how we heal as well.
Yeah.
That is how we embark
Hmm.
on the path of true healing. That's how we start really getting into the guts and the real meat of our issues. That's how
Hmm.
we start healing our life force energy. And until then,
Absolutely.
our life force energy is simply blocked. like a faucet that should be flowing with full
Mm-hmm.
force, but the valve is tight and
Mm-hmm.
our faucet is just dripping when
Yeah.
it could be in full flow. It could be flowing in
Mm-hmm.
full force.
Yeah. And there are, various things that we can look at to see, why is that life energy being blocked? And I would say that the biggest factor is the people that you are connecting with.
It's huge
And
because we're social
it's
creatures.
massive, right? Yeah, and we can know when people are right for us or are not right for us, right? Whether they're aligned with us or not. And we do this by observing ourselves when in communication with people. Does this person drain you or does this person fill you with life? Right? I know we've had so many conversations with various people, and some conversations we come out of it and it's just like, I feel so tired.
Right.
That was such a draining conversation. And then on the flip side, we've had conversations where we are so excited afterwards and we're inspired and we're full of energy and it feels great, right?
Yeah.
And so, again, that's both in your mind and in your body. You can feel whether it's a negative or a positive experience. And so, without having any personal biases to specific people, you need to observe just the way in which your body and mind responds to individuals, because many times it could also be a family member. And a lot of people would sometimes just be like, oh, well, they're family. I can't do anything about it. Well, it's not completely
Yeah.
true.
Like no matter
You
what, one
can,
of
but
the one of the
yeah.
biggest pieces of rhetoric when it comes to our relations with our family is that
Mhm.
no matter what happens, they're always
Mm,
family. They'll
yeah.
always be your family. Things and circumstances
Right.
in life may change, but they'll always be your family. No matter what, they'll always be your dad, they'll always be your
Hmm.
mom. It's like, well, that's true, but the relationship you have with your family is ever changing. It is
Mm,
always
definitely.
evolving. Like with anyone else. Just because they're blood related to you does not mean anything. Not really.
Hmm. No, that's right. And so if you have to limit your time with them for your well-being, then that's what you have to do. And you can do it respectfully. You don't have to argue with anybody and spend less time with them. You just naturally choose to have less and less to do with that certain individual.
Again, because you have a high level of self respect for
That's
yourself.
right.
That's all that is. And you prioritize your life force energy. You prioritize the well being of
Yeah,
your spirit.
that's right. And that's coming away from that people pleasing tendency when you start doing that and you start to put you first instead of others first, because why is their happiness more important than yours? There will come a point in time where you begin to resent people, but that's only because you haven't enforced those boundaries yourself first.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah. All of that is so
And
important
then,
to keep in mind.
yeah, no, I was just going to say, and then other factors that can affect your life force energy would be, where are you, what are you doing for work? Where is your energy throughout the day being directed? And some people may love their job, they may love what they do, and it doesn't feel draining to them, right? I know with our work, oh gosh, we love it, right? I could talk and
Exactly.
I could write and I can create videos and I can do this all day. I find sometimes we're working right through tonight and it's like, oh, wait, like it's late now, we should probably stop. But it's just so enjoyable doing what we do because we love it. It is our purpose to share the wisdom that we have gained and to help others along their own journeys. And so it's not draining, it's exciting and it's very fulfilling.
Yeah.
But then there are other individuals where they just have a job, or they're in a position that they're in and they hate their job. They dread that alarm clock going off in the morning. Oh God, I couldn't even imagine living that way at all. I couldn't. I don't even need an alarm clock in the morning anymore. I've become so in tune with myself that I know what time I want to wake up, and I just naturally wake up at that time. That's been so awesome to observe that within myself and to be able to do that now, not needing this little bell going off in the morning. That's such a horrible way to wake up.
And that's the truth.
um,
It,
yeah.
from the get go, from the very start of the day,
Yeah.
you're already disrupting your body's electromagnetic field.
Yes.
Because studies show that loud noises, disruptive sounds,
Mm,
no matter how present you are, or no matter how conscious and aware you are as a person, disruptive noises, loud sounds will always throw off our immune system. It
mm.
is not good for our health, and we will never acclimate to loud bangs or loud noises. And so you're already starting the day off
It's like a
throwing
shock to
off
the
your
system, isn't
nervous
it?
system and your
Yeah.
electromagnetic field. Every one of us is a conduit of electromagnetic energy. There
Yeah.
is research that shows that we are able to map the electromagnetic energy that our heart is radiating. Our heart
Mm,
is the most electromagnetic thing in our
yeah.
being, in our body. We are
And it's the same as
literally,
that of the suns, is it not,
yeah,
if I remember? Yeah.
yes, yes, as well. Everything is electromagnetism. That's the core of Nikola Tesla's science when it comes
Hmm.
to his understanding of life force energy. It's electromagnetism.
Yeah.
We are magnetic beings. We are electric beings as well.
Hmm.
We are expressions of electromagnetic energy. And so anything that throws that off is going to also impact our life in different ways.
Hmm.
So yeah, imagine,
Totally.
that's so baked into so many people's routines, waking up with an
Mm,
alarm clock. That's just
yeah.
that's just culture. In the way
It
that our
is.
life is structured, not on someone else's, or not on your time frame, but on someone else's time frame, someone
Mm,
else's way of doing things, someone else's business and organization, not one that is of our own design. Because
hmm.
when you design your
Definitely.
own life, you don't need an alarm clock. You know
That's
what you
right.
need to do. You know what you want to do. You
Yeah.
make plans for how you want the next day to start, or the next week, or the next month, etc.
And
Your
by being
body
in
will be acclimated
flow,
to waking up when it needs to. Yeah, go
yeah.
ahead,
And
baby.
by being in flow and in tune with yourself, you make it intentional. I'm intentional about the time I want to get up. I mean, I know that I need about 6 hours sleep. And so as long as I'm in bed 6 hours before the time I want to wake up, I'll be awake. There is no doubt about it. It's like clockwork. Every single morning I am up 6 hours after I go to bed. But I remember the whole alarm clock business right from school, even I think it was from high school. And I see Maria does it now as well. She has her alarm clock on in the morning, but she doesn't even hear it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, What do you need your alarm clock on for? I can wake you up, or you just have to be intentional within yourself and tell yourself, I will be up at this time, and you will. That's it. There is a saying in Greek. I'm not quite sure 100% how to translate it, but they say tonuso, which your nous is it's your mind, it's your intention. So when they say, tonuso, be aware, basically be aware of this. It is, yeah, it's being aware and intentional of what you're doing and how you want to do things.
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. It's all about intentionality,
Yeah.
putting your intention first out into the world.
Yeah. And ways to replenish our life force energy when we do feel like we've had quite a draining day, because even when you do live in flow and even when you are intentional, there may be days where you feel more drained than others. And on those days, you have to also remind yourself you need to take some rest days. There has to be balance in life, work and play,
Yeah,
right? There needs to be balance. And we live in such a fast paced world, right? I mean, I cannot believe that we're almost halfway through 2023. It blows my mind. But we live in such a fast paced world that we just go, go, go all the time. And we need to remind ourselves that it's okay to have a me day. It's okay to just have a day where you rest and you do things that will fill your cup. You
yeah,
practice self care and some self love, and yeah, just allow yourself to really truly rest.
yeah, exactly.
And even leisure, I was going to go into leisure, and that's actually something we didn't touch on before. The kind of things that you entertain yourself with also affects your energy.
Yeah, and how you
What
entertain
movie was
yourself.
it that we saw? Oh my God, The Lord of the Rings.
Oh man.
I
Yeah.
neither of us had seen it, and it had been on our list for quite some time.
This might
And
not be the most popular take, but it was the first time
yeah,
that Samantha and I had watched the Lord of the Rings. And for its time, I understand how it
yes,
was groundbreaking and how it really does feel epic. It feels massive,
yes,
but I
hmm,
just feel like I felt like it was just so heavy on us after
it
watching it.
was.
It felt so intense, so serious, you know?
And
And
especially coming out of having seen the Harry Potter series in full, which we absolutely
right,
loved.
exactly.
Right, there's magic,
There's just
there's
a lot more,
excitement.
yeah, a
Yeah.
lot more excitement, a lot more lightness. It was much more
Yeah.
enjoyable. The Lord of the
Hmm.
Rings is so serious. So far, we'll reserve our final judgment because
Yeah.
we've only seen the first movie. But just based on
Hmm.
our experience with the first movie, we felt like the characters weren't really like uh, really all that relatable or even to each other. It felt like
Yeah.
they just got together with a common goal and they
Hmm.
needed to get done
That
with
was it.
what
There was
they
every
had to get done.
connection.
There's been so many stories that follow that same
Hmm.
uh, formula. It's a
Yeah.
fundamental formula for a lot of stories,
Hmm.
and so we've seen so many other stories being told in a way that's more
Hmm.
enjoyable and has a lot of the
Yeah.
same elements. So that heaviness, just like, oh man, it drained us for the rest of that
It
day.
did. And
You
it
know,
was a 3 hour movie. And I believe we
right?
napped
They're
for
long
three
movies.
hours after watching
Right, right,
it.
exactly. So it's like it's not bad, right? But it's just, man, it was just so intense. So
Well,
intense
look,
and so
for
serious.
us personally, it was draining to us. Now, to other people, they may love it. It's
Right. It's
besides
according to
the
everybody's taste. You have to
story.
understand what your taste is.
Yeah.
How feel. Like you're enjoying yourself. Understanding what that means for
Hmm.
you. Right. Everybody's different.
Exactly.
But that was our
That
experience with that movie,
exactly,
and
that was
like
our experience.
yeah, and
Hmm.
we look forward to diving into entertainment and
We
movies
do.
and games because we're huge movie and game buffs. We're gonna have a series coming out soon that goes into our reviews of different games, movies. We're gonna call it
Hmm.
uh, Elevated Entertainment Reviews. That'll be coming out
Yeah,
soon, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, and we've
absolutely.
got a couple of people that will be having on as guests as well, where we're just gonna enjoy talking
Yeah,
about these things at a higher level
I
of
love it. It's going to be
awareness
fun.
that a lot of people may not have considered,
Hmm.
the perspectives that we'll share with regards to these things. But
Hmm.
yeah, it's all about understanding how you recharge your batteries.
Hmm. That's right. And a lot of entertainment is, yeah, it may drain you, and then there's other ones that will have you feeling really great.
Yeah.
I know when we came across Nobody, we watched that back to back twice. We loved
Oh man,
Nobody. That was
nobody
such
to,
a
to this
good
day it's
movie.
my favorite action movie of all time.
Yeah.
John Wick is just so perfect. So John Wick is definitely my favorite action series of movies of all
Mhm.
time, but nobody's just so flawless. I cannot wait for the sequel. And, you know,
Oh
whereas
gosh,
that say a movie
definitely.
like that, just the energy of the movie
Hmm.
was so refreshing. You know,
Yeah.
we were so refreshed by enjoying that together. You know, it's
Hmm.
yeah, it's important to set aside time to enjoy yourself and make sure that you recharge your batteries. That is also a major part of harnessing your life force energy,
Hmm.
replenishing it. It's not
And
just
then
go
there's
go go all
also
the time.
exactly, but then it's also not overdoing it
Yeah.
with the
And there won't be a need to
entertainment.
overindulge if your life is structured properly.
Yes,
You won't have to worry about that.
exactly.
That was our
No.
problem. That was our big issue before we found a solid structure,
Hmm.
that we could really rely on to
Hmm.
keep us organized. We were constantly improving on our
Absolutely.
organizational structure, but it was still inefficient because we would feel like we
Hmm.
weren't either getting enough done or we were missing certain
Yeah,
things that we needed to get done. And so we would blame
exactly.
ourselves for that. And all of that blame subconsciously affects you. It affects your ability to produce. It affects your ability to be creative, to be
Absolutely.
inspired, because there's all of these micro judgments that you have on yourself.
Hmm.
It could be, even if you get a lot done, because you're not organized, because you don't have a structure that's laid out in front of you, you don't
Hmm.
know what it is that you are doing. You have no record of it. And you have no way
Yeah,
to say, hey, I've gotten what I needed to get done for today. Boom.
hmm,
That's it. No
that's right.
thinking, oh, I need to do something else, because guess what? There's always going to be more to do. There will always be
Always.
more to do. Work
Yeah.
never ends.
Hmm.
And
But you
Samantha,
need
you're
to, of
you're such a
course.
hard worker. I know that's something that you definitely
Yeah,
had to overcome. Is thinking in that way. Like, there's always stuff to get done. I need to get more done.
exactly.
If I don't keep getting things done, then I don't feel good.
Yeah.
And you avoid
And
that
then
by having
how
structure.
how many times have I been affected by burnout because of that?
Yeah.
You've seen that where I lose my voice and I just I know I have to rest. I've done too much. And that's the thing, is we sometimes get caught in this like perfection loop as well, right? And perfection is in the eyes of the beholder, as they say,
And we
right?
are such perfectionists.
You can
We
what
are
was that?
such perfectionists
We
in our
have
own
been,
ways.
and we've had to let go of that because a kitchen is not meant to always be clean. A kitchen is cleaned so that you can then cook and eat as a family. That is the purpose of a kitchen. You can't expect it to always be perfectly clean or that nothing will ever be out of place. Or
Right.
being a household with three girls, there are going to be hairs on the floor at times,
Yeah.
and you don't have to be running around yourself all the time making sure that everything is perfect. It's okay for a house to be lived in, right? But we don't have a home for what's the word? It's not a stage home,
Right.
right? It's not just a stage house. It is a home that is lived in, and it's okay to have your routine and do what you need to do, and then leave things for the next day. I know that there's the there's a big saying is, do what you can today and don't leave it for tomorrow. But for me personally, I know I too heavily lent on that, and then I was just always overworking myself,
Yeah.
whether it be not so much with our work, but housework and children and cooking and cleaning and all these things, the gardens, and there is always so many things that need to be done.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it all in one
And you're
day
just the
and kill
best housewife ever. Mm.
yourself.
It's such a beautiful quality. But the thing is
Yeah.
that when you become obsessive with regards to
Hmm.
certain things in specific, they become distractions. And that
Right.
also negatively impacts your life force energy.
It
You're
does.
you're not dedicating enough time or energy to other things. And
Hmm.
when push comes to shove and you need to get work done in another area, you
Yeah,
don't have the energy. You don't have the focus that you need. You're not
exactly.
refreshed.
Hmm.
That's what tends to happen as well. When you become a clean freak or a control freak in one way or another, you're also not able to
It just,
trust others to get work done.
hmm,
You do everything
exactly.
yourself. You get into that
Yeah.
mindset. This has a great impact on your professionalism as well,
Hmm.
with regards to secular work. You When you have a balanced structure, you're able to trust others to perform tasks that need to get done. You're able to delegate because you have that trust in the people you're working with, in the people you're
Hmm.
collaborating with. You're not in a state of mind where everything needs to be done perfectly according to you. You're able
Yeah.
to trust that what needs to get done will meet the right standards. That energy, that
Hmm.
intention will make a huge difference with regards to your work and how much work you get done. Quality work as well.
Absolutely. And when there's structure, there's also progress reports. So you have clearly in front of you, you can see what's being done, how it's being done, and what's coming of that. What are the results? And so long as you are always ascending and moving in a positive direction, then you can let go of that control a little bit. And yeah, delegate to other people. It's so important to be able to do that.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Hmm. Again, I know that's another thing that I've fallen into, and trying to get everything done myself, and being able to share that with you now is just so beautiful. It takes away a lot of that unnecessary pressure, uh, on yourself, and instead of all your life force energy just going to this one or even several things, it allows you to then be more creative and have time for things that are passions, right? For you to be able to focus more on your passions as well.
yeah,
Mm,
exactly. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, that's really what it's all about when it comes to harnessing our life force energy and understanding how we can appreciate it more and more with each day. This
yeah,
is fundamental for creating the life in which we want to experience, that we want to enjoy, and create in a way that is enriching and fulfilling, and that makes the
absolutely.
biggest difference possible. And one of the ways we can also harness our life force energy, we'll break down in our next article on the topic of sensuality, how becoming more in tune with our senses, how becoming more sensual individuals allows us to be in greater and easier flow with life. And it goes beyond the romantic aspect of sensuality. We'll dive into all of that in our next episode.
We appreciate you joining us. And until next time,
May you embody the way of TBL today in your own way.